one key differentiator is it's built as a very contemporary platform over the past couple of years. It doesn't have a lot of legacy. Where there is legacy, it's legacy in that core kernel of Linux code that we picked for stability and performance. It's also different in how it was built. We didn't do this as many industry consortia do by forming a round table with a lot of people smoking cigars and deciding who was going to contribute what technology. We built a collection of world-class organizations to help us build and deliver this Android platform. And so we picked best in class. I wanted the best speech recognition, I went to Nuance. I wanted the best video codecs, I went to Packet Video. I wanted to have the top handset OEMs, we went to them and carriers to get their thoughts. So it was built as a best-in-class engineering project. Then it's going to be released as open source. So it also wasn't built as an open source project. Not that there are any negatives to building things in open source, but this allowed us to engineer to strict time schedules a very complete product that we had strong engineering control over. Now we can deliver the results of that to the industry. So, ultimately here, the key thing is for us that no one party is going to control this platform, and that means that unlike what we've seen in other domains, while Google has had a heavy hand in this, there's no technology that we control ultimately here. It's all open source under Apache 2.0. If Yahoo wants to take Android and build a great Yahoo phone on top of that platform, absolute power to them. There's nothing that we can do to restrict them, and they're perfectly able to build as good, or if they can, frankly, a better handset than we can. Good challenge, I guess, for them. So let's see. I think the key thing is Android has entered as one element into this world, but there's still a lot of other things. I mentioned that the industry is changing. I see the catalysts for this change, Android and an open platform being one of them. But I think the key thing is that the device capabilities are finally starting to surpass some of the limitations that they've had. Apple's done some great innovations with the iPhone, but key things are larger screens, more sophisticated use of techniques to get input from the user, to interact with the things that are on the screen and to do input. The ability of high-speed, always-on 3G data networks is another catalyst of change here. The fact that these phones, iPhone, Android, new Nokia Series 60 phones, are using WebKit-based web browsers that are based on the same technology that Apple's been shipping in all of their desktop and laptop PCs to deliver a very high-fidelity desktop-like web browsing experience. And then fundamentally, very important here, these software platforms that these phones are built on are built for delivering a very good consumer experience, and they're also built for delivering a great experience for third-party developers. And that last point is very important. These platforms are very developer-friendly. The tools that these platforms have, Android, we released our SDK last November when we first started talking to the world about our platform. We released our first software development kit. We've had well over 1 million downloads, and that was even prior to the most recent refresh that we had. Tens of fan sites available for that platform. So the tools are very rich and sophisticated. Incentives, Google announced a $10 million series of developer challenges. And then fundamentally very important change is the distribution models. In terms of the developer challenge I mentioned, these are just a few examples. But so we announced this developer challenge. We received about 1,800 applications back from the development community of all very compelling applications based on Android. And that was far above the number we thought, because we don't have any phones out yet, as I think everyone knows. So all of those app developers were building those apps on the speculation that there were going to be handsets starting last year. And we got great apps like this one, TuneWiki, which is a great music downloading and management site. This other social networking site that lets you find people, meet up with them, see what's happening. Cooking applications. If you go to code.google.com/Android, you'll see you can see the whole list of applications that were delivered and the ones that we awarded prizes to. Key thing is developers are getting excited, and most important here is that developers for the first time have some control over their own destiny. Apple has had 100 million downloads, and the important thing there is that, except for some recent issues, if a developer builds a great app, they publish that app, then it's up to their own marketing dollars and viral messaging. That app is available to any iPhone handset on any carrier network, no limitations, right? So the important thing there is that the developers, for the first time, through an end-to-end experience, know that they can build an app and they've got a target market, they can put that app in front of that target market, and it's up to their best-in-class abilities to get that app distributed. So, for me, all of these elements are fundamentally resulting in a major shift in the industry. The experiences are getting hugely better. The major influence, and this is another fundamental important piece, where a few years ago it was handset OEMs and carriers who were in control and driving the experience and what we saw in handsets. You now see companies like Apple, Microsoft, and now Google driving the consumer experience of the next generation handsets. People who know software developers. And I think once we started down this openness path, it's just hard to slip back. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities for carriers. It just means they have to change how they think about things. They've been making a lot of money on data from SMS, very low bandwidth, very high revenue. Downloading ringtones, polyphonic ringtones, little samplings of songs, while there's technically nothing that should prevent you from taking an MP3 file that you own and making it your ringtone. So their business models are going to have to change. But the important thing is that all of these changes are enabling a long tail, which has never existed in the mobile space before, and that does exist in the internet. Basically, today, mobile operators should look at that and say, instead of trying to ring-fence a small amount of content, if I now find a way to open up, leverage advertising, leverage other models to get smaller amounts of micropayment from very large amounts of consumed information and data, then I can start to do what the internet did, which is deliver very specific value to individual, vertical, highly specialized groups, because instead of trying to control focused pockets of content, you're making content available with much broader appeal. And again, that long tail that was very successful in the internet should enable us to start to deliver on, I believe, a very similar vision for a mobile internet, which I think is the period of time that we're entering today. So thanks for your